Hello, lovely blah, blah, blah. Hello, lovely souls. Thank you for joining us. I don't think I can even say that. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us. Episode whatever. We're going to talk about reincarnation and maybe some other stuff because we're really not prepared for anything to talk about tonight. It's kind of got... Jeremy's plans got canceled, made us change our plans, and that's why we're fucking here, because of Jeremy. I was out golfing today, up at since 2:30 in the morning. It's now 8 o'clock at night. I've already been hungover once today. I'm dehydrated. I'm fucking stuffed full of junk food.
Yeah, the rest of us had to work.
Yeah, but
I had the day off.
But that was work. I was entertaining clients.
So was my work.
So Jeremy effed us all. So here we are, 8 o'clock. Oh, by the way, Cell Block 3, here we are. Our new stuff, thanks to Larry, the Parachump Buchanan.
They won't light up because apparently they take a lot of...
Voltage? Amperage?
Electricity?
Amps. We don't have enough amps right now. We don't have enough adapters to make the amperage work. But we're also known as chumming with the spirits of a podcast.
So we are going to chum, and thanks for bringing that to my attention. I haven't started drinking yet tonight, guys. I've already been hungover once today. So I'm not going to drink tonight, probably. But my man Larry...
Parachum himself.
Got Rebel... Oh, this is Reveal to me. Revel Stoke... You can't pronounce words, so shut up. Butterscotch whiskey. So we're going to open that up tonight and have a shot of it for sure. And we're going to talk about reincarnation and a plethora of all things.
I think it's going to be a wide spectrum of some fun stuff.
From anywhere from Batman to Ninja Turtles to coming back from the dead.
We also got a new, I thought was interesting, Select Club pecan praline whiskey.
And who doesn't like pecan pralines? My wife will be all over the all diabetic of her. She should be on that.
Pure sugar.
Yeah. So here's to you guys. Grab a drink, relax, and hopefully you enjoy this podcast with us.
Should be all on that like grease on donuts.
Let me purple. I can smell that butterscotch.
Does it smell good?
Gonna get me water. I just all lonely,
impatient because we're flying out to California tomorrow.
No, Kentucky, where the whiskey's made.
Well, you better bring something back.
I'm gonna try.
It smells really good.
Yeah, but how's it taste?
I don't know. I haven't tasted it yet.
That's some butterscotch.
Yeah.
All right. To my bros that I love better than hoes. Parachum Productions.
Cheers.
Cheers. That's good.
That is really sweet.
That's really good.
That's what they say about Dave all the time. It's not hair of the dog, is it?
So we should get on task at hand, right?
Yeah.
Larry, once you start us off, man, you're the smart guy. You're the one who goes out in left field.
Are we thinking we're going to do...
Is the dog coming down?
No.
Okay.
There's Liz probably going into the office. So, I mean, do we want to do some little bit of
the dog's coming down.
Oh.
Hey, buddy. I told you I heard the dog coming downstairs.
Yeah, he's down, man, for sure. And one thing I can always rely on my wife is not to keep the dogs upstairs.
She'd let the dogs out.
Okay, so the agnostic guy doesn't want to talk about reincarnation?
No.
So, I mean, you believe in science, and I think we all three agree that...
there's the evil twin.
The soul, we're talking about my bulldogs, people. So the soul is an energy that it cannot go away. I mean, when you die, your life force is never ending. So where does it go? Can reincarnation be part of that?
No, what I was getting at was you're asking the guy to start off a religious topic that doesn't believe in religion.
Reincarnation is a religious topic.
Well, it depends on what religion.
Well, unless you're like you're Hindu or something, Buddhism or something like that.
Which is a religion, Dave.
Is it? Yeah.
So
my son put that on Facebook in high school that he was a Buddhist. Love that kid.
So do you want me to give you my thoughts and opinions on it? Is that what you're asking me?
No, we want you to kick off because usually you have like 15 million questions and one more.
Oh, I got lots of questions on this shit.
Well, we don't know if we can answer them, but let's go.
Might take a little bit more alcohol for me to get them out clear. So when you think about reincarnation, I think of basically when you die, your essence gets recycled. Is that a fair interpretation.
Your body, your energy, your soul can go into another life being.
Yep. And that makes sense when they say energy can't be created nor destroyed, scientifically. But as we know, science and theories and physics and all that stuff are constantly being proven wrong. So even though it's a valid point of how the universe works now, when we're talking about something scientifically, 100 years from now, it can be completely upended and turned on its ass.
Sure.
Take, for instance, when they were talking about flat Earth and the Earth being the center of the universe. And we come to find out, what's a couple 100 years or 100 years later, that he's eating something, that the sun is actually the center of the universe and the planet's round.
Yeah.
To some people. There's still some people that believe the Earth is...
They thoroughly believe that.
Yeah, that the Earth is flat, and we're riding along the top side of a turtle riding through space.
Okay, so on this subject, if I can jump in.
Yeah.
Since it is Halloween season, today's what? October what? 4th?
It's 4th, yes.
It's the 4th, Friday, October 4th.
I think it's the 5th.
No, it's the 4th.
It's the 4th?
Yeah. That's what I signed all day long, so I hope it's the 4th.
You do well. People are getting their medications all screwed up, but you're good. No.
Well, if they get medications from me, it's probably not legal. Because I don't work with medications.
Did I say it is legal? We know you got a side gig going on, my man. So,
horse dewormers. Sorry.
Yeah, and those horse cock pills did not fucking work. You're a dick. No, okay. So anyway, let's take something Halloween. Let's take Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we have a dead corpse, a guy being pieced back together by several different body parts.
So let me yeah, I get where you're going, but let me elaborate on that. When you're talking reincarnation, in my opinion, it's a form of energy that has memories and consciousness. And that's where deja vu and all sorts of other stuff come into play.
You're 100%.
When we're talking about Frankenstein, it was an amalgamation, an abomination created by man that, once it was created, had its own separate consciousness. It wasn't a regurgitation of something that once was. So I don't think that could be...
So you're trying to say it doesn't have a soul.
So
yes.
And there's no attachments to those body parts.
I would not believe
How many hauntings have we seen where there's attachments to someone that used to lay there, or that was their hand, or something like that? I mean that's legit.
So you're saying paranormal activity can be a form of reincarnation?
Well, I think what he's implying is it'd be very hard for somebody to believe in the paranormal, that a spirit could be haunting a house and not possibly have a chance to come back in another body.
If that's their body parts. Because haven't we seen cases where they find body parts and clothing and stuff like with an attachment? Because you know all about attachments.
So if you're
donating.
Yeah,
heart donors going and
and they have memories or
get old feelings for people.
So if you're going down that route, we would have to say that Frankenstein was a conflicted schizophrenic entity.
Was he not?
You mean he wasn't a monster?
He did not have multiple personalities. So what you're saying was, say he was created by 15 different individual body parts from 15 different people.
Okay.
Then if a spirit could be attached to those individual body parts, he could have potentially up to 15 different schizophrenic personalities.
Absolutely. Kind of like Moon Knight.
That was never conveyed in the... I know it's a fictional novel, but that was never conveyed.
No.
It was conveyed as he was just...
a monster.
No, he was just immediately conscious. He had no recollection. He had no ties.
Yeah, but he didn't have any...
An abnormal brain.
Yeah, abnormal.
Abnormal?
But in the novel, he comes back and he is a monster because he doesn't have any recollections of being past life. He is just instantaneously there, hence implying no soul, no moral compass, no nothing. That's why he did a whole bunch of horrendous things.
But didn't he just snap sometimes? Like one time he's seen something beautiful, and the next thing he snaps and he kills somebody, right?
Because he had no bearing of morality. Which means that, in my opinion, he would have no...
Don't we have that with schizophrenic serial killers and stuff like that?
Because they know what they're doing. He didn't know what he was doing. It was
He's
instinct.
implying the Johnny Five and the grasshopper.
Yes, no, so that's where I'm getting. Frankenstein had more of a correlation to a self-aware AI than a reincarnated soul.
Okay.
Would that make sense?
Yeah. No, and
He's an empty husk.
Yes.
No soul. No concept of right, wrong, good, evil. Just it was there, and he was dealing with trying to learn that.
So there's no possibility with all the different body parts and attachment that he couldn't have.
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm saying based on the writing.
No, it was from.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, it is absolutely possible and plausible that yes.
I'm just trying to throw that in to make a twist about the reincarnation thing.
I wonder if I don't think he would have other souls, but there's a chance that he could have past feelings from body parts or lingering.
Well, like you're saying, like heart
influences,
transplant or something like that.
They feel something for somebody. I not necessarily that's a soul, but things transition with the body part necessarily.
And see I know this is a work of fiction, but being a scientist, I have a hard time believing that anything like that is even possibly contemplatable. Because
what kind of title do you have as a scientist? Let's let people know what kind of if you are a scientist. I'm not saying you're not, but Larry the scientist. What kind of scientist?
I went to school for biology with a sub-genre of microbiology and immunology. I work now in vaccine production. I work in QC and doing the testing, but I was also in the research and development, developing the antibodies and the viruses for inclusion into the vaccines.
Like COVID?
No, for animals.
Real vaccine.
I can't go into more detail, but that's
real. Well, we gotta leave that one alone.
For horses and cows and that kind of stuff, and dogs and alligators.
He's got to be quite.
Why would anybody want to keep an alligator alive?
I can't tell you that.
I must just absolutely hate my wife.
There's a reason.
Sharks and gators. Something wrong with her.
There's a reason, and it's.
What she did say is
shark.
It's how everything in the world works.
Well,
it's because of
kids,
money.
Yeah.
Because they're a. What do you call it? A resource. So, but what I'm getting, so what I was getting at was, I don't think anything like that could be physically, in that day and age, accomplished, because when you look at it, you're not only dealing with parts from other individuals, which, if they're not the same compatibility. Yeah. The grafts between the two connections.
So reanimated, but not reincarnated.
No, like
he's saying back then, they didn't even know the difference.
Like you would have to connect billions of nerve endings
for something like that.
And the types, I think it's like CD8 positive or CD4 positive, would have to accept one another for the fusion to take place. So like when people get skin grafts, they have to go through several screening processes to make sure that they're compatible with the person they're getting a screen. Otherwise the graft won't take and it'll just decompose. Alright, welcome back everybody. Don't normally do this, but we're going to take another shot to start things off after the break.
Well, some of us are.
Some of us are. This is Select Club Pecan Praline Whiskey.
Or pecan, depending on where you're from.
It smells great.
So, instead of eating candy, we're now drinking candy.
Ooh,
that's pretty good.
That's good, but it's sweet.
Yeah.
Is it? A lot of sugar in that one?
Yeah.
Ah, man, that's sweeter than Dolly Parton's Tooties.
Woo! So, we're talking about reincarnation and...
I said Tooties.
Tooties.
We can't...
So, following on what Larry was going after on the Frankenstein thing, because scientifically back then they wouldn't have been able to do it. Let's take a step back. Because we're talking about reincarnation. Let's go, instead of being reincarnated, what about life after death? Like flatliners. Let's start off at the very beginning.
Okay.
Because like we're talking about we talked about Frankenstein, no soul, but let's take it to the beginning. You die, 5 minutes later you get revived, and people have stories about that. Because it's all a progression of to the point of
demons come out,
be gone. At least it's coming out that way.
Oh, that's fucking whiskey,
No,
dude.
holy whiskey.
That's sticky.
It is now.
Man, Dave just got sticky all over my chest.
It's not the first time
Not
either.
the first time. And if you want that, that's on the Patreon channel.
So go ahead. Yeah, no, I think that's a fabulous idea.
So, because like in it, what was that? A '90s movie, Flatliners,
1990
With Kevin Bacon?
Kevin Bacon and Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh, God.
And it hints at
Julia
stuff-
Roberts.
Julia Roberts.
Yeah, there's
great
a bunch
show.
of them. But they get into an experiment of where they medically kill each other and flatline them, no pulse. They see how long they can go, and then they get revived. And everything seems normal at first, but then they start running into
Stuff coming back with them.
coming back and technically hunting them. But that's, as we're talking about reincarnation, what happens like when you leave? Because there's medical doctors that have died. Like there was a brain surgeon. I forgot what the TV show was. They talked to him, and he goes, I'm a brain surgeon. I know what happens when you die. And he thought, up until it happened to him, that was just your brain, the last few seconds, giving you endorphins and making you comfortable, and then you die. And he had complete brain dead, no activities, and was brought back. He got to see his own charts, and he's like, there's what he experienced, what he saw, there's no way that could actually happen.
Yeah.
Because there's no brain activity.
Yeah, there's no brain activity.
Well, you're right, and we've heard that one podcast. We all three listened to it. The guy was, I think it was 19 hours, and he just kept the body alive for his family could come say goodbye to him. And the story he had was just remarkable. But I can, a personal experience, I can talk about it. Yeah, and I think we talked about it, we just never aired it, so maybe this is a good time to put it in.
You died?
My sister did.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so back I was probably 18 or 19 years old. My sister was pregnant with her third child.
By another person, not Dave.
Correct. Because I don't live in Arkansas
Or Alabama.
or Alabama. Crimson Tide, go Tide, roll Tide. Anyway, all right, so here we go. She was chasing after her younger son. His name was Jimmy, and he was running up the street, and she was I think she was 7 or 8 months pregnant. And she had a rump street, and she grabbed him. When she grabbed him, she felt a really bad pull. She hurt herself, but she didn't think it was that bad. Woke up that night covered in blood. Rushed her to the hospital. Baby is born still born. She dies on the table. Several pints, but pints later, blood transfusion to get her to come back to stop the bleeding. She came back to life, and we had the funeral for the baby, and it was one of the saddest days of my life. He was absolutely just adorable little fella, and in a casket this big, it was just
Heartbreaking.
it was hard. Yeah, I'm a sensitive guy, so I was pretty emotional about it. But her and I talked about it afterward. And me and my sister, kind of like you and your sister, had a lot of paranormal experiences together. We're growing up. She's my older sister. I'm the baby of the family, as you two are as well.
And I had paranormal experiences with my sister.
See, so we all got this kind of mesh going. Yeah. So we're talking, and I remember she told me, and she goes, she went to heaven, and she was walking through like a park-like setting. It was just the most beautiful thing she ever experienced in her life, and my sister's not a Christian woman by any means at that time, and she was afterwards for a while, and she knew she did not want to come back.
She was happy where
she was just happy, full of joy, happiness, and calm. And she gets to a place where she sees baby Jonathan, the one that was born, and he was on a teeter-totter. A little older, obviously, playing with her oldest son, Christopher, on a tutor, and they were playing together in this park. And she knew, hey, they're going to be together. I can go now. And she came back. Fast forward, I don't know, 15 years. Christopher gets in a ATV accident, hits a tree, walks up the road, slumps against a sign, and ends up bleeding to death. Ripped his liver from his body. So he slowly bled to death. And my sister, hey, I knew this, she knew this was going to happen. She just knew that Christopher was going to be reunited with her son again. So, is that life after death? She knew. She knew something was going to happen. She knew that Christopher and baby Jonathan were going to be together. And she came back. And I don't doubt my sister because of the experience we've had. Everything she, like setting me up in her room, right? Stuff like that, So,
Does that fall? That's a super sad story, and I'm sorry you had to go through that, and she had to go through that. But does that fall more under premonitional?
Well, I
Depends
think
on where she's at. I mean, if heaven's this place that, what was the Star Trek Next Generation? Was it the Rift, where Captain Kirk ended up being at, and everything was wonderful, but he had no fear and all of that. But it's it's not in the same time, like it's a dimension of its own. So
time doesn't exist.
Yeah, so you can see forward and back. If heaven's that way, like you can see your great grandchildren, and you can meet your great grandfather. It all depends on how you look at it.
Yeah,
at that moment in time.
There's stories where people have visited her and came back, and who's to say she was not there long enough to meet those people, or vice versa,
or be given a vision of what's to come to make her, because she needed something to get her to go back.
Well, obviously, if you lose your second child, there's got to be some piece that they're going to be fine, right? And maybe she was given that. So we're talking about flatlining and coming back. It actually happened. Family member, absolutely 100% happened to her. I know for a fact, and she knew what was to come.
I'd be interested to find out if there's. I'm sorry to stray off subject here a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be interested to find out if there has ever been any brain activity documentation for people that have died and come back, to see if they're completely different than before it happened.
So if your brain waves were altered and all that. I'm sure there's been tests done.
I would think it would have to be something, though.
Especially with everything now, with the technology that we have.
But there's some stories where people have come back, and they're just whole. There were sickly people, and they came back, and they died, and they come back, and their body. There's stories out, and it's easy to talk about it without here's the proof, here's the story, because it's a bullshit story until I can tell you what I've heard.
So I wanted to kind of segue into that with kind of a pop culture reference. There's a recent movie, I would say within the past 15 years.
That's recent?
It is for old people like us.
Oh.
Well, I'll really take that to heart, as I should.
It's called The Lazarus Effect. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it.
I have not seen it, but I know of it.
So the whole point of the movie is that they're a group of academia people that are trying to create a serum that can bring people back from the dead. And they experiment on a dog. And the dog's been dead for a while. And they actually get the serum to work, and the dog's name's Rocky. And it comes back to life, and they have positive results. But it's not the same dog. The good, loving dog.
It was altered, yeah.
It was almost like something evil came back in its place.
Very similar to Pet Cemetery.
Yeah.
Why would they name it Lazarus?
We're not going to touch that, but we can't touch a few things. While we're talking about that,
is that considered reincarnation though?
No. That's reanimation.
Not in that fact. Besides, we know animals don't have a soul.
Oh,
wait a minute.
that's messed
All
up.
dogs go to heaven.
Well, in the cartoons they do. And I know that's a touchy subject with that.
Are you gonna tell your dogs that? Sorry, you guys don't have souls.
Well, my mom, who was you know what? I don't think we should go down this road.
Yeah.
Let's edit that part. We'll leave the
Let's
animals
keep on
alone.
going. Yeah. So you're talking about reanimation, not necessarily reincarnation.
Right. So
Reincarnation is a soul going from one body into another at the very beginning.
But isn't that what happened? Some other soul came back through
No, that's
to the
not a
dog.
soul.
No.
If you get technical, that's where you get in possessions and why things.
But how do you know it wasn't just an evil person's soul that came back?
Because dogs don't have souls.
The only things that have ever been cast into animals have been demons.
So no. So I want to touch on that subject if you don't mind.
Ooh.
Well,
You opened the can of worms.
well,
like,
yeah, but you're not going to like the outcome of this, and we're going to throw.
I think I am because I think you're going to contradict yourself.
Well, I contradict myself when I go to bed.
So you're saying a human can't be reincarnated as a dog, or an ant, or a bird?
I know other religions believe that.
Okay.
Yes, I believe other religions do believe that.
He doesn't, is what he's saying.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
I wanted you to say it.
I mean, so if I'm being a wise ass, which 80% of the day,
Yeah.
if I was going to be reincarnated, I would like to be reincarnated as a woman's bicycle seat. I mean, if you know what I'm saying?
Here comes P. Diddy.
Yeah.
Like, mother.
What? Hell, wish Pete Diddy should have thought about that.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I think it comes
It got slippery in here.
Where's all this baby oil coming?
so gosh, we kind of just branched off on all different things.
Because we decided to take this back to like the beginning and kind of walk the steps through. So we talked about Pet Cemetery, where it's not the same thing coming back, like the Lazarus serum and the Lazarus pit. Then we get into where we were talking about flatline. Like my grandmother had like 3 different times she died on operating tables and had vivid recollections of everything that happened while she was dead, clinically dead.
How'd that change her personality-wise?
She was already pretty. She was more super. I'm like, not supernatural.
But she was grounded, though, right?
Very
she was really
grounded. She was also very religious, which kind of now being older, kind of throws me off a little bit because like she talked about past relatives that died and they would come by and say hi to her and all that. She was very normal about it, but like I mean, she freaked out one of her doctors because she said she passed away on the table. They're doing open heart surgery for bypass. Yeah.
Question.
Sure.
Where's your list?
It's up here, bitch. So you brought up the Lazarus pit. I want to get your interpretation on comic book lore.
Okay, well, okay.
How does that fit in with the?
So Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, however you say his name. I don't know how to fucking say that.
I'm not a DC guy. You'll have to ask some other pussy.
Ouch. So he uses the Lazarus pit to regenerate youth. Does that mean he's feeding on other souls to regenerate his livelihood?
No.
Okay, so tell us what the Lazarus pit is then.
So the Lazarus pit is pools, and there's so many around the world that if you submerge a body in, it will rejuvenate them and even bring them back from the death.
Fountain of Youth.
No, it's not the Fountain of Youth. Fountain of Youth doesn't bring somebody back from the dead. It only gives you everlasting youth. You have to be alive still. And this is why it's called a Lazarus pit, because it's referring to a Lazarus in a certain holy book.
Spoiler alert. Fountain of Youth, St. Augustine, you can go to the well, get a drink of water.
That's why Dave's actually 80. It looks that good.
Thanks.
I think.
Yeah, okay.
So, in the comics, every time you use a Lazarus pit, it will physically restore you 100%, but it doesn't fix you mentally. So every time you use it, your brain is a little worse off each and every time. Then there's another side arc on when you get into Jason Todd, which is the Robin that was killed, and Ra's al Ghul felt bad for Batman because he saw him being unhinged and resurrected that Robin in the Lazarus pit. Well, he was already dead. It did bring him back to life, but he has, and depending on which canonical storyline, he has the scars from the autopsy because those happened after he died. So he got healed, came out of the pit, freaked out, and is mentally somewhat unstable because of it. So,
That's a great story. I mean, especially for DC. That's fantastic.
yeah, I mean,
That's my DC jab.
Now, why can't they get their movies right?
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, luckily, DC
I kind of like the movie, so I'm not as big as man as you, Batman or DC guy as you are, but
He also liked Morbius. Just saying.
I enjoy Morbius.
we all have issues.
And you still play with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Hell yeah, I do.
All right, pussy, shut the fuck up. And we're not talking the underground one either. We're talking about the, hey, let's go eat a pizza. Fag. Anyway,
What?
sushi eating fag.
So,
No,
The underground one.
hey,
underground. Okay, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Turtles.
was an underground comic that was freaking gory as hell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Okay.
I said that's not the ones you read.
Yeah,
you read the ones like, let's go eat a pizza, dude.
Hell yeah, dude.
yeah, the original one where they all had red bandanas,
Yeah.
not multicolored, so you know which ones are which.
I grew up in the 80s. I liked the cartoon.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I was still growing up in the
So,
80s.
Parachum, why is it referred to Lazarus pits? Do you know why?
I don't know. That's why I asked.
That's what I thought. You'll never know.
Don't know.
Well, no, I know it.
Whoa,
I know it has reference with the Bible.
Hey, come on,
Lazarus was resurrected
you're
from
coming
the
off
dead.
aggressive. Just slow down a little bit, okay? You're kind of pushing things right now. You're becoming a little aggressive. You back off a little bit.
What did I do?
Softer approach. Go ahead.
Okay.
He's your elder. Speak kindly.
I know that it came from the Bible.
Lazarus.
Was that
yeah.
better? Yeah, no, I know that it refers to... Was his name actually Lazarus? I don't
Yeah, it
know.
was Lazarus.
Okay. I didn't know if it was Lazarus,
And we may be pronouncing it wrong because with all the different translations, but it's Lazarus was resurrected. Well, technically, this is the issue with it. Some people don't believe he was resurrected, meaning he wasn't actually fully dead.
No, he'd been dead for a few days.
Well,
But doesn't that make him Jesus?
No, just
Jesus
Jesus.
is the one that resurrected him.
Because his sister came to Jesus crying that because Lazarus had known Jesus and his whole family knew Jesus, and while Jesus was away, Lazarus passed away from some sort of disease.
They were trying to get him there before he died.
Yeah, before he died.
So can I
He'd been
ask
dead
a,
for multiple days.
can I ask a serious question without offending you?
Probably not.
50-50
Yeah,
chance.
probably not going to happen.
But
So
okay,
that being resurrected was one of the defining characteristics of what made Jesus Jesus. So doesn't that
No.
having someone else that was able to be resurrected
That's a fair question. I know where you're trying to lead to. So
discredit
some
that.
people do bring that up as a issue, and that's why some people say he wasn't really dead. Jesus himself says, why are you worried?
Yeah, he's just asleep.
He's
Yeah.
just asleep, and if you do not believe in me, because she was distraught and he brought him back. The difference between Lazarus and Jesus. Lazarus was brought back by Jesus, by somebody there, which, believe it or not, there was a lot of miracles going on back in the day.
And Brandon, Larry, I apologize. Calling you Brandon's not a bad thing.
No.
We're talking a whole village knew this.
Yeah.
People, they have seen the decaying body.
Yeah.
They've
And
seen it.
with one touch. Now, Jesus resurrected divinely. is
by
what they
the
say.
power of God.
Yes, with no interference.
By the power of
Of
God.
God. Yep.
The same way Jesus was resurrected
No,
by
'cause
the
if
power
Jesus
of
was-
God.
So, if Jesus wasn't there, Lazarus would not have been resurrected. There was no one around Jesus, and he resurrected on his own. It's the power of God. But that's the difference between the two: self-resurrection versus somebody else bringing you back. Because there's stories of angels resurrecting.
So is it plausible? And I'm just shooting my shot.
He's trying to push back so hard.
No, I'm not trying to push back. I'm trying to gather information. Is it plausible that Jesus either himself was not resurrected because he was not actually dead, he just suffered, like, pushed through it and got better over those days, or by the power of God through another entity was resurrected?
He was resurrected by God.
Not
by himself.
But not by an entity.
He had to die and go to hell to come back.
So there's a whole story arc behind when he left.
But do you get where I'm going?
Yeah. But it wasn't somebody
because
coming
God's
down.
not supposed to interfere.
God sent Jesus down to interfere, because if it wasn't for if we're gonna go biblical, if Jesus didn't come down, no matter what sin you had, you were going to go to hell. You were never going to make it to heaven.
Unless you were pure and unsinful during your lifetime.
So by the slaughter of the Lamb, being Jesus, by the sacrifice of God's only begotten Son, for him to bear the cross, go through the pain that we will never go through.
And Jesus didn't know for sure he would actually be resurrected.
He
knew he'd be.
He didn't want to die. He didn't want to die. The night before he was supposed to be crucified, he was in the garden sweating blood. He was stressed so badly that blood was pouring, which can happen. He was stressed so much. He did not want to go through it. And then when his dad said, "This is why you're here, man."
No, I get that. So, and I'm not arguing that. I agree with that.
Okay.
But that term, his only begotten Son.
Mm-hmm.
Begotten is it's not misrepresent. It means special.
But we're all God's special children.
We're in the image of God for sure. We're all in God's image from Adam and Eve.
Depending on which version of Christianity you believe in, there's some that believe that we're all brother and sister. God doesn't talk to all of us, only certain ones.
Part of God was in Jesus. This is Jesus'
But
son.
part of God's in all of us, according to religion. So how does that make you? How do
I think you're a little twisted.
How are you not Jesus? How is Jeremy not Jesus?
We're supposed to be more Christ-like.
I don't think
Because I don't have
because we don't have daily talks with God.
How do you know?
Well, because I've had my talks and it's not daily.
But do you get where I'm going?
And I haven't resurrected.
I think you're
yet.
really trying. I really appreciate that, Larry.
I'm trying to understand.
Well, that's why they say his only begotten Son. He was a special son to bring the message of God.
Well,
Messiah.
He's the only human that we know in recorded history that we know of that never had sin. He never slept with anyone. He didn't lie. Didn't cuss. Wouldn't do an adulterous thing. He died perfect on the cross as a perfect human being.
He drank
wine.
It's alcohol.
But no, Larry. But back then, you had to drink wine because all the water was contaminated. The safest thing to drink was wine most of the time.
Yep.
I give up.
What's that?
I'm just saying. So as we're talking about, because we named like two different types of Lazarus serums and pits, and covered the comic book version. Why? And that's still a minor controversial story arc in the Bible because of that he did come back from the dead. But there's also parts
that he did not die. Yeah.
He wasn't.
There is that out there as well.
That he didn't go to heaven. He wasn't in heaven yet, and that's why Jesus wasn't worried about it when he came up. He cured him of his disease, and he came back.
So, folks, we've opened a rabbit hole
that we probably shouldn't be going down.
Larry will never escape from.
Yep.
So, we're gonna cut it for this portion,
and we might cut that whole portion out.
No.
I think it depends how it comes out.
I think there's some.
I think it's phenomenal. What do you call it? Banter between friends. Not banter. That sounds bad.
A discussion or
conversation between friends.
Yeah.
So please let us know what you think your beliefs are, and you think if I'm just an absolute moron or idiot, just feel free to say so. I don't care.
It doesn't have to be your beliefs either.
Yeah, you can just tell us what you think of them.
Yeah.
And or if you have passed and you flatlined on the table and have it and came back to life, we'd love to hear about it.
Because there will be a part 2 of this. We're going to pick this up after a minute or two.
Reach out to us. Talk to us. We would love to talk to you. Maybe
don't wait till you're dead to reach out.
Yeah. That's when we really don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll go to the place, but I mean, that's if we can afford it.
So until next week, be sure to drink.
Be safe.
And be safe.
Be safe. Drink a lot of water too.
So, thank you.